Welcome to Inquiry into Self. So, this past month, there's been more and more letting go, and it's it's it just brings unspeakable joy. And I'd like to be able to share a little bit more of how this has happened for me. Um, what's I don't know, what does the process look like? And fundamentally, what do I mean by unspeakable joy? It's so I can listen to the happiest song you can find, and there's nothing that can say that feels any happier than this joy I'm feeling. Paradise flowing through my bloody veins. I just love that line in a song. That is what it feels like. Paradise flowing through my bloody veins. Um, and it's this deep knowing that it doesn't matter not only what circumstance I'm in, circumstance just doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter how people show up in my life. It's just what I am is what I am is what I am, and it's so love, so joy, so full, so complete. So of course, I've said this before, right? That it's wonderful that, as a human experience, I will discover another part of me can, that was holding on to an idea or a hope or an expectation or a concept. And when I encounter it, it's because it's being disappointed. And I just know that it's not true. So, how do I get to the place where it falls away and then this deeper level of joy is available again? I mean, it's always a deeper level and then a deeper level and then a deeper level. Um, well, I'll make a few videos to talk through this, but this process, well, the very basics of it started for me 30 years ago when I really decided self love was absolutely essential in my life. Um, I had hoped, for things from other people, and I could see that I was always going to be at the mercy of how other people showed up for me. So I started deliberate processes of self love back 30 years ago. And I can tell you at first it didn't feel very convincing. I don't know why it is, but we seem to feel that love coming from someone else is more valid than love coming from ourselves. But that didn't matter to me. I knew that eventually it had to be love coming from myself because I couldn't be relying on love coming from someone else. So that's how this all started 30 years ago until that just became this very natural process over years. Years it took. But then it got to this point and it was always good. It's not like it's useless. Just little increments, always worth it. So the process is enjoyable. But, then over years, I got to the point where the self love just so sufficient. And then, discovering our infinite self and then realizing this unharmability, just kept growing and growing. But, there's always opportunities appears to deepen. So over the past month, there was a couple more areas that I got to see. Oh, look at that. There's an expectation, and in that moment, it's not, look at that, it feels like this is a very essential thing for me to have just a good happy life. It feels like this is just a minimum basic, like this is just a standard way of living, a standard way of relating. And it feels like it's so reasonable a hope, so reasonable an expectation. Like, this is not overreaching by any means. But it's not showing up in the moment, it's being entitled. It is overreaching. Of course, it doesn't feel like that. So you can't look in the mirror and say, well, you're feeling entitled. You don't need that. And no, it takes a little more than that. But at this point now, I can look into the mirror and, if I'm feeling that disappointment, look into the mirror and just tell myself what is still here. What is still here if that never ever shows up in your life? What is it that is still here? And as I feel into this life that I am, and I may use some music, I may, create an environment that feels loving. And I may cry and just look into my eyes and say, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful to get to be you. Whatever it is, I tap into this that is always here. And then there's this willingness that arises to let that expectation, let that hope, let that thing I thought was a minimum standard, let it drop away. And feel the freedom of not needing it. The freedom of being this available, open, totally unprotected, unguarded, but alive in the most full way. There's just no structure in the being. There's nothing to have to be. And so then the result is freedom, bliss, lightness. It's better than falling in love. Better than winning $1 million. Better than some grand prize awarded in front of all the people I most respect. Way better than that. Because it lasts. It's a knowing of what we are from the inside, So this joy, it just it turns out to be fuller and fuller and fuller the more things I let go of. And the letting go of is just a welcoming of tenderness, and then a looking to what's always here. And life and love. And there's an okayness to knowing there's no goal that has to be met. And out of that just springs joy, joy, joy. I can look in the mirror and say, you've arrived. It's finished. It's done. There's no one to become, no one to be. And that's always here. Who cares if that circumstance or that person's showing up for me the way I hoped isn't going to be there? It doesn't matter. I am love itself. I am joy itself. There is paradise running through my bloody veins. And and how could I want more than that? How could I need more than that? So the next several videos are going to go into more depth into this process. But the general theme is this willingness to let go and willingness to check into what is already always here.